Hey folks, Nicholai here. Just doing another reaction to Wes Huff, who has once again poisoned the well with his interactions with Orthodox. He is clearly not willing to engage with us in good faith, and so I just kind of find it ironic that um, he just is going to bury his head in the sand and not address any of our arguments, not even try and discuss with us in good faith. Like, you don't even need to technically have a debate. You could just have a discussion. You could have just a formal sit down where you go over some of the differences and you can talk to a clergy or an apologist within our church on these various issues. Um, but we got nothing from you. Instead, what we get is this kind of snide ortho bro remark, which we all know is basically just saying, "Oh, these weirdo online like guys." That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to poison the well. Um, and I want to point out two or three things that I notice right away. So in his he says, uh, unlike EO and Roman Catholic, historical Protestantism doesn't even make the claim that the early church has to look like the modern Baptist church I attend and minister at currently. That last part doesn't make any sense within the context of the first sentence. It's a weirdly worded sentence. But that being said, yeah, that's a problem. We would argue that if you don't, if you can't demonstrate a continuity of belief from the early church to now, you're out of line with it, and therefore we can dismiss your theology, your church as um, accretion, as a new phenomenon that isn't in line with historic Christianity. And therefore, we can simply say you're not even in the running, you're not even in contention for being the faith passed down from Christ and the apostles. Now, he goes on and says, I'm fully and thoroughly a convictional Protestant. I believe the faith and practice I hold to in the confession and church covenant of my church. Now, that's very specific. Um, to be both true and reflective of clear, plain teaching of Scripture. And here's the thing, immediately this would get called out, and he knows it would get called out. Plain teaching of Scripture? There is no plain teaching of Scripture. And I'll give you one really just basic example. The Eucharist. Christ says, "This is my body and this is my blood. Take it in remembrance of me, and take and eat. For my flesh is true flesh, and my blood is true blood," etc., etc. Um, Wildly different interpretations, not just amongst Protestants, but between Roman Catholics, Eastern Orthodox, and others. Wildly different. So there's no plain teaching of Scripture. Sure, you can come to some sort of like, he walked this way. Okay, well, I can then say, okay, he clearly walked this way. But those are not really foundational theological paradigm shifting uh, things. And you'd have to demonstrate that there has always been this so-called plain teaching of Scripture. Furthermore, um, you can't even tell us with certainty that you have a full canonical list of the church. If you go to a Baptist church, you certainly don't believe in the Apocrypha, and if you do, you're out of line with most Baptists. So then, why should we believe your Baptist church over every other Baptist church? It just becomes completely arbitrary and ad hoc. It's just pick and choose your own faith, pick and choose uh, your own Bible adventure hour. It's just completely at your own whims and your own interpretations. And that's not even getting into the fact that he absolutely has a tradition that he appeals to. He doesn't just appeal to plain reading of Scripture. He didn't just wake up one day with no knowledge of Scripture, no knowledge of anything. He went to university, he went to other churches, he learned from them, he had mentors, he had all these other things that informed his current beliefs. Those are all traditions. Um, it wasn't just the plain reading of Scripture that he went into his basement and then came out with a like a confessional and a creed and some other things. He didn't do that. And in fact, some of the things he holds to are from the councils. And then he just arbitrarily chooses which of them he wants to accept and which ones he doesn't. This is the problem with Wes Huff and people like him. And then he just kind of goes on to saying, I didn't want to get in the weeds, and people misinterpreted to think of this and that. And it's like, no, let's be real, dude. You don't want to engage with us because you know that Protestantism is struggling right now. And you are seen as some sort of de facto authority ever since you went on the Joe Rogan podcast. Ever since you went on the Joe Rogan podcast, you've gotten quite a big name for yourself by going on many other podcasts. Well, that's a problem because now that you have a big name, people want to actually engage with you and see if your ideas hold water. And the more you run away from this issue, Wes Huff, the more you run away from our apologists, Wes Huff, you are going to see more and more people leave your church because you're not giving them adequate answers. Now, he goes on, and I'm not going to really address Gavin Orland because he's been addressed by people like Craig Truglia, Jay Dyer, Reader Paul, many clergy, and more Orthodox channels all the time. Another great one is Alex, who is a Orthodox lawyer who's recently had his channel slightly blow up, and he's been fantastic. And he's addressed a lot of Gavin's arguments. Gavin's arguments have been completely debunked by people like Michael Garton on his book Early Icons and things like that. It's just been a complete dismantling of Gavin Orland's arguments. No one takes Gavin Orland's arguments seriously in Orthodoxy, and it's not going to convince any serious inquirer to reconsider. I mean, let's be real. So that's the important thing. So other than that, let's see here. So the idiotic comment, Bill Carson is worthy of debate, but no one with any actual knowledge of church history and patristics. Jay Dyer's absolutely right. Jay's 100% correct. Ben Luigi, let us know when you're ready to have a discussion with us instead of just talking about us, Wes. And what Luigi's absolutely correct. So is Jay. And to those who are genuine, all of Gavin Orland's content that he just linked has been responded to and refuted. And he does Hidden History of Early Icons, which is basically it is a stake in the ground. It completely dismantles everything Gavin says about this. Same with Early Icons, which Westgate here responded to. Orland's been thoroughly refuted in this book, which he never responded to, and he has not responded to it. Jay did a space earlier. Michael Garton, let's see here. Reader Paul, he did a great job with this. Yeah, it's just a bunch of Orthodox, and here's the thing. No one here has been rude or mean or inconsistent or anything like that. Here's Alex Orthodox channel, fantastic channel. Highly recommend everyone check this out. I might even do a couple response videos to it. It's so good. But yeah, did you guys see anyone here that has been rude? And yet they're going to use just the sheer amount of responses to claim I've been harassed. The Ortho Bros are all up in my gears. Well, yeah, Orthodox is a very close-knit group of people. We're very close-knit. A lot of us in the West in particular have had to abandon our previous faiths. That's not easy. And so as a result, we become very defensive of each other, and we're willing to call out nonsense when we see it. And we're uncompromising. And that's a good thing. Yeah, sure, there can be people that are overly zealous. There can be people that can get rude. But those are just natural inclinations. I can find 100 examples of Protestants and Roman Catholics that are rude. So it's not even a good argument. So, Wes Huff, I challenge you, brother. I challenge you to actually engage with us instead of doing these kind of just frankly lame talking at us rather than actually talking with us. That being said, God bless. And everyone, if you like what you have here, let me know. Also, I got a new mic. I'm not sure if this mic is good yet. I'm hoping the audio is better now. If the audio is better, please let me know down in the comments. And like, share, and subscribe, guys. God bless.